The morning fog hung heavy over Windsor Castle as Catherine, Princess of Wales, stood at the window of her private quarters, watching the groundskeepers tend to the roses below. Her reflection in the glass showed the weight of recent weeks etched in the lines around her eyes. The phone call from King Charles's private secretary had come at dawn, and the news it brought would change everything for the royal family. William entered the room quietly, still wearing his morning running clothes, his face grave. The conversation they were about to have had been brewing for months, ever since the king's health had taken an unexpected turn. What started as routine medical checkups had revealed something far more serious than anyone in the palace had anticipated. The doctor's reports, kept strictly confidential, painted a picture that forced difficult decisions. The couple had spent sleepless nights discussing their future, their children's future, and the monarchy's future. Catherine's own health scare earlier in the year had already shaken the foundation of their carefully planned lives. Now, with the king's condition deteriorating faster than anyone expected, they faced choices that would have seemed impossible just months before. Palace staff moved through the corridors with hushed urgency, preparing for what would become one of the most significant announcements in recent royal history. The media had begun to sense something was amiss, with royal correspondents noting the unusual number of private meetings and the conspicuous absence of certain family members from public engagements. Catherine turned from the window as William approached, his expression reflecting the gravity of their situation. They had always known this day might come, but neither had imagined it would arrive so suddenly or under such circumstances. The decision they had reached together would shock not only the British public but royal watchers around the world. In the king's private study, surrounded by centuries of royal portraits, the final details of their announcement were being crafted. Each word had been carefully chosen, each implication thoroughly considered. The palace communications team worked frantically to prepare for the media storm that would inevitably follow. The morning sun finally broke through the fog, casting long shadows across the castle grounds. Soon, those same grounds would be filled with reporters, cameras, and curious onlookers as news of the royal family's shocking decision spread across the globe. Catherine and William knew there would be no turning back once the announcement was made. As they prepared to join the king for what would be a historic meeting, both knew they were about to step into uncharted territory. The monarchy had faced many challenges throughout its long history, but this situation was unlike anything that had come before. The decision they had made together would either secure the future of the royal family or fundamentally change it forever. The weight of tradition pressed down upon them as they walked through corridors lined with portraits of monarchs past. Each face seemed to watch their progress, silent witnesses to a moment that would be remembered for generations to come. The announcement waiting to be made would challenge everything the public thought they knew about the royal family's plans. William took Catherine's hand as they approached the king's study, both drawing strength from each other as they prepared to face the consequences of their choice. The door ahead represented a threshold they would cross together, emerging into a future neither had planned but both had chosen. Behind that door, the king waited with documents that would formalize their decision and change the course of royal history. The palace bells chimed the hour, marking the final moments before their lives would change forever. In just a few hours, the carefully guarded secret they had kept would become front-page news around the world, sending shockwaves through the establishment and leaving the public struggling to understand how everything had changed so quickly. As they stood before the study door, Catherine and William exchanged one last look of understanding. They had made their choice based on love, duty, and an impossible situation that demanded an unprecedented response. The announcement that would soon emerge from the palace would leave everyone asking the same question: how had no one seen this coming? The secure conference room deep within Buckingham Palace buzzed with tension as senior palace officials gathered for an emergency briefing. Sir Clive Alderton, the king's private secretary, stood at the head of the polished mahogany table, his usually composed demeanor showing cracks of strain. The documents before him contained information that would reshape public understanding of the royal family's current crisis. King Charles's health battle had taken a dramatic turn 3 weeks earlier during what should have been a routine follow-up appointment. The medical team, led by the royal physician, had discovered complications that changed everything. The treatment protocol that had been working successfully suddenly required modification, and the timeline for his recovery had become uncertain. Catherine and William's decision to step forward had not been made lightly. Their private discussions had stretched late into many nights, weighing their duty to the crown against their responsibility to their young family. The Princess of Wales, still recovering from her own health challenges earlier in the year, found herself thrust into a position she had never expected to face so soon. The palace communication strategy had been months in the making, anticipating various scenarios but never quite preparing for this exact combination of circumstances. Press Secretary Sarah Bradford reviewed the carefully crafted statement one final time, knowing that every word would be dissected by media outlets worldwide within minutes of its release. Meanwhile, at Adelaide Cottage, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis continued their normal routines, unaware that their parents' decision would fundamentally alter their futures. The couple had agreed to maintain as much normalcy as possible for their children, even as their own lives were about to change dramatically. Queen Camilla had been instrumental in supporting the family through this transition, her own experience of stepping into an unexpected royal role proving invaluable. Her private meetings with Catherine had helped the princess navigate the emotional complexity of their situation, offering guidance that only someone who had faced similar challenges could provide. The security implications of their announcement had required extensive planning. Scotland Yard's Royal Protection Unit had been quietly increasing their presence around all royal residences, anticipating the intense media scrutiny that would follow. Additional measures had been put in place to ensure the family's privacy during this vulnerable time. Financial advisors and constitutional experts had worked around the clock to address the practical implications of the royal couple's decision. Ancient protocols were being dusted off and modern interpretations applied to ensure that every aspect of their choice could be properly implemented without constitutional crisis. The Archbishop of Canterbury had been briefed privately. His counsel sought on the spiritual and traditional aspects of their announcement. His support would be crucial in helping the public understand that this decision, while shocking, was made with the deepest respect for royal duty and tradition. International diplomatic channels had been quietly informed, with key Commonwealth leaders receiving advance notice of the announcement. The ripple effects of this decision would be felt far beyond British shores, affecting relationships and protocols that had been established over decades. As the final hour approached, William and Catherine retreated to their private apartment for a few moments of quiet reflection. The magnitude of what they were about to announce weighed heavily on both of them, but their conviction remained strong. They had explored every alternative, consulted with every advisor, and concluded that their chosen path was the only one that honored both their family commitments and their duty to the crown. The media had begun to sense that something significant was developing. Royal correspondents noted the unusual activity at the palace, the cancelled engagements, and the conspicuous absence of official explanations. Speculation was mounting, but none of the theories being floated came close to the reality of what was about to be revealed. In the final moments before their announcement, Catherine and William stood together in the same room where so many historic royal decisions had been made. The weight of centuries of tradition surrounded them, but they had chosen to forge a new path, one that would challenge expectations while ultimately serving the institution they loved. Their decision would prove that even in the most traditional of institutions, love, duty, and extraordinary circumstances could create extraordinary solutions. The official announcement emerged from Kensington Palace at precisely 11:47 a.m., sending immediate shockwaves through newsrooms across Britain and beyond. The carefully worded statement revealed that Prince William and Catherine had made the unprecedented decision to temporarily step back from their senior royal duties to focus entirely on supporting King Charles during his extended medical treatment while also prioritizing their family's well-being during this challenging period. Within minutes, the news had exploded across social media platforms. The hashtag #RoyalShock began trending worldwide as millions of people struggled to process the implications of the announcement. Royal watchers who had followed the family for decades found themselves facing a scenario they had never imagined possible, questioning everything they thought they knew about the line of succession and royal protocol. The statement detailed how Catherine and William had reached this decision after extensive consultation with the king himself, who had not only supported their choice but had actively encouraged it. The royal couple explained that the king's health situation required more intensive family support than initially anticipated, and they felt their primary duty lay in ensuring his successful recovery and the stability of their own young family. News anchors across major networks interrupted regular programming to deliver breaking news bulletins. The BBC's royal correspondent stood outside Buckingham Palace, visibly shaken as she attempted to explain the unprecedented nature of the announcement to viewers who were calling in with questions faster than the station could handle them. International media picked up the story within the hour, with American networks scrambling to book royal experts who could explain the constitutional implications. The decision was being described as the most significant royal announcement since King Charles's own accession to the throne, with comparisons being drawn to other historic moments of royal upheaval. Social media erupted with a mixture of support, confusion, and criticism. Supporters praised the couple for prioritizing family over duty, while others questioned whether they were abandoning their responsibilities during a critical time for the monarchy. The debate became so intense that several platforms had to increase their moderation efforts to manage the volume of discussion. Royal biographers and constitutional experts found themselves inundated with interview requests as media outlets struggled to provide context for what many were calling an unprecedented decision. Television studios became revolving doors of experts attempting to analyze every aspect of the announcement and its potential long-term consequences. The practical implications began to emerge as palace officials worked to reassign the hundreds of royal engagements that had been scheduled for William and Catherine. Over the coming months, charities and organizations that had been expecting royal patronage visits found themselves having to completely restructure their planned events and fundraising activities. Financial markets showed immediate but measured reactions, with analysts noting that while the announcement was surprising, it appeared to be a temporary arrangement, rather than a permanent abdication of royal duties. The pound remained stable, though royal-related stocks experienced some volatility as investors processed the news. Public reaction on the streets of London was mixed, with some expressing support for the couple's decision, while others worried about the stability of the monarchy during an already challenging period. Tourist areas around royal palaces saw increased activity as people gathered to discuss the news and speculate about what it might mean for upcoming royal events. The announcement had deliberately avoided specific timelines, leading to intense speculation about how long this arrangement might last. Palace sources remained tight-lipped about details, fueling further media frenzy as reporters attempted to uncover any additional information about the family's plans. Commonwealth leaders began issuing statements of support, though many privately expressed concern about the precedent being set and its potential impact on royal tours and diplomatic engagements that had been planned for the coming year. The delicate balance of royal duty and personal choice had never been tested quite like this before. As the day progressed, it became clear that this announcement was just the beginning of a story that would continue to evolve. The royal family had entered uncharted territory, and the world was watching to see how they would navigate the unprecedented challenges ahead while maintaining the dignity and stability that the monarchy represented. Behind the palace walls, the reality of King Charles's condition was far more complex than the public statements had revealed. His medical team had discovered that his treatment required not just physical recovery time, but also significant emotional and psychological support from his family. The king had privately expressed to William and Catherine that their presence during this critical period meant more to him than any public engagements could ever accomplish. The decision had actually been brewing for weeks, with Catherine playing a pivotal role in recognizing that traditional royal protocols were inadequate for their current situation. Her own recent health experience had given her unique insight into the importance of family support during medical challenges, and she had been the first to suggest that they needed to completely reimagine their approach to royal duty. William's relationship with his father had deepened significantly during this crisis, with conversations between them revealing vulnerabilities and concerns that had never been shared before. The prince had come to understand that supporting his father through this challenge was not just a personal obligation, but a crucial investment in the future stability of the monarchy itself. The children's welfare had been a primary consideration throughout their decision-making process. Child psychologists had been quietly consulted to ensure that George, Charlotte, and Louis would be adequately prepared for the changes in their lives while maintaining their sense of security and normalcy. The couple had developed a detailed plan to shield their children from media pressure while helping them understand their evolving roles. Queen Camilla had emerged as an unexpected source of strength during this period, her own experience of adapting to royal life proving invaluable in helping Catherine navigate the emotional complexity of their situation. The two women had formed a close bond, with Camilla providing practical advice about managing public expectations while prioritizing family needs. The extended royal family had rallied around the decision in ways that surprised even palace insiders. Princess Anne had quietly increased her public engagements to help fill the gap, while the Earl and Countess of Wessex had accelerated their own charitable work. The family's unity during this crisis had actually strengthened the monarchy's foundation rather than weakening it. Private polling conducted by the palace communications team revealed that public opinion was more nuanced than media coverage suggested. While there was initial shock and confusion, deeper analysis showed that many people actually respected the couple's decision to prioritize family during a health crisis, viewing it as a very human response to an extraordinary situation. International royal families had reached out privately to offer their support and share their own experiences of navigating similar challenges. The Dutch, Swedish, and Norwegian royal families had all faced comparable situations where personal circumstances required adjustments to traditional protocols, and their advice had proven invaluable. The security arrangements for this new phase of royal life required completely rethinking established procedures. The couple would maintain their royal protection, but with modified protocols that allowed for a more private lifestyle, while they focused on family responsibilities. Scotland Yard had developed innovative approaches to ensure their safety without the usual public visibility. Financial arrangements had been restructured to support their temporary withdrawal from public duties while ensuring they could fulfill their family obligations. The Duchy of Cornwall's resources were being redirected to support this transition, with careful attention to public accountability and transparency about how royal funds were being utilized. Constitutional scholars had been working quietly to ensure that this arrangement remained within established precedents, drawing on historical examples of royals who had temporarily stepped back for family reasons. The legal framework was more flexible than many realized, allowing for creative solutions that honored both tradition and contemporary needs. The impact on their charitable work had been carefully managed, with many of their patronages expressing understanding and support for their decision. Several organizations had actually offered to modify their expectations and timelines to accommodate the family's current situation, demonstrating the deep respect and affection that the couple had earned through their years of dedicated service. As the first week of their new arrangement unfolded, it became increasingly clear that this decision represented not a retreat from royal duty, but a redefinition of what royal service could look like in the modern era. Their choice to prioritize family during a crisis was establishing new precedents that future generations of royals might find invaluable when facing their own extraordinary circumstances. The unexpected consequences of William and Catherine's decision began to emerge as the weeks progressed, revealing a side of the story that no one had anticipated. Their temporary withdrawal from public duties had created a unique opportunity for other members of the royal family to step forward in ways that surprised both the palace and the public, fundamentally changing the dynamics of the modern monarchy. Princess Anne, already known for her tireless work ethic, had quietly increased her public engagements by nearly 40%, seamlessly filling gaps in the royal calendar while maintaining her characteristic no-nonsense approach. Her increased visibility had reminded the public of her decades of dedicated service and her unique ability to connect with people from all walks of life. Without fanfare or drama, the Earl and Countess of Wessex had also stepped up significantly, with Sophie taking on several of Catherine's patronages temporarily and proving herself to be remarkably capable of handling the increased responsibility. Her background in public relations had proven invaluable in managing the delicate communication challenges that arose from the family's unusual circumstances. Most surprisingly, the Duke and Duchess of Gloucester, typically working quietly in the background of royal life, had emerged as steady, reliable presences at events that might otherwise have been cancelled. Their understated approach had earned new respect from both the media and the public, demonstrating the depth of commitment that existed throughout the extended royal family. King Charles's recovery had progressed better than expected, partly due to the reduced stress of knowing that his family obligations were being managed effectively. His medical team reported that having William and Catherine nearby had significantly improved his emotional state, which in turn had positively impacted his physical healing process. The children had adapted to their new routine with remarkable resilience, benefiting from increased time with both parents and grandparents. Private tutors had been engaged to ensure their education continued seamlessly, while child development specialists worked to help them understand their evolving roles without feeling burdened by adult responsibilities. Catherine had used this period to pursue interests that her previous schedule had made impossible, including advanced study in early childhood development and mental health advocacy. Her deeper engagement with these subjects was already informing new approaches to her future royal work, promising even more impactful contributions when she eventually resumed full duties. William had taken on a more hands-on role in managing the Duchy of Cornwall's affairs, developing innovative approaches to sustainable agriculture and environmental conservation that were gaining attention from experts worldwide. His temporary step back from ceremonial duties had allowed him to focus on substantive work that aligned with his long-term vision for responsible leadership. The media landscape had undergone its own transformation during this period, with royal correspondents being forced to find new angles and stories beyond the traditional ceremonial coverage. This had led to more in-depth reporting about the monarchy's actual work and impact, ultimately providing the public with a better understanding of royal contributions to society. Public opinion polling revealed fascinating insights about how people viewed royal duty and family responsibility. Contrary to initial concerns, the majority of respondents expressed respect for the couple's decision, with many noting that it made the royal family seem more relatable and human while maintaining their dignity and purpose. International relationships had continued smoothly, with diplomatic protocols being adjusted to accommodate the temporary changes in royal availability. Several foreign leaders had privately expressed admiration for the British royal family's ability to adapt traditional structures to meet contemporary challenges while maintaining stability and continuity. The economic impact had been minimal, with royal tourism actually increasing as people became more interested in visiting locations associated with the family's story. The narrative of duty, sacrifice, and family loyalty had resonated with visitors from around the world, creating new opportunities for cultural exchange and understanding. Behind the scenes, palace staff had developed new efficiencies and collaborative approaches that were improving the overall functioning of royal operations. The temporary restructuring had revealed redundancies and gaps that were being addressed, ultimately strengthening the institution's ability to serve the public effectively. As the arrangement entered its second month, it became increasingly clear that this period was not just about managing a crisis but about evolving the monarchy for the future. The lessons learned during this time were being carefully documented and analyzed, creating a blueprint for how royal families might handle similar challenges in years to come, while maintaining public trust and institutional integrity. The turning point came during a private family gathering at Balmoral, where King Charles had been recuperating in the peaceful Scottish Highlands. The informal setting had allowed for conversations that would have been impossible within the formal structure of palace life, leading to revelations that would reshape everyone's understanding of the royal family's future direction. During a quiet evening walk through the estate grounds, King Charles had confided in William about his deepest concerns for the monarchy's future. The king revealed that his health scare had forced him to confront the reality that the institution needed to evolve more rapidly than he had previously realized. The traditional pace of royal change was too slow for the challenges facing modern Britain and the Commonwealth. Catherine's role in these discussions had proven crucial, her outsider's perspective providing insights that lifelong royals might have missed. Her experience in adapting to royal life had given her unique understanding of how the monarchy appeared to ordinary people, and her suggestions for modernization were both practical and respectful of tradition. The family had begun developing what they privately called the new charter, a framework for how the monarchy could function more effectively in the 21st century. This wasn't about abandoning tradition, but about finding ways to make royal service more flexible, responsive, and impactful while maintaining the dignity and continuity that the public expected. William's research into environmental issues during this period had led to breakthrough conversations with leading scientists and policymakers. His temporary withdrawal from ceremonial duties had allowed him to develop expertise that would make his future advocacy far more effective. The knowledge he was gaining would transform him from a figurehead supporter of environmental causes into a genuinely informed leader. The children's education had taken on new dimensions during this time, with carefully planned experiences that helped them understand both their privileges and their responsibilities. They were learning about royal history not just through books, but through conversations with family members who had lived through significant periods of change and challenge. Queen Camilla had used this period to strengthen relationships with charitable organizations that had sometimes felt overshadowed by the attention given to younger royals. Her quiet, consistent work was earning new recognition and respect, demonstrating that effective royal service could take many different forms depending on individual strengths and circumstances. The extended royal family's increased visibility had revealed talents and capabilities that had been underutilized for years. Palace officials were discovering that the monarchy had greater depth and resilience than anyone had realized, with family members capable of stepping up when circumstances required their service. International observers had been watching the British royal family's adaptation with great interest, recognizing that other monarchies might face similar challenges in the future. The solutions being developed at Balmoral were being studied by royal houses across Europe and beyond, positioning Britain as a leader in royal modernization. The medical team treating King Charles had reported remarkable progress, attributing much of his improvement to the reduced stress and increased family support he was receiving. The decision to prioritize family time was proving to have practical health benefits that validated the initial controversial choice to step back from public duties. Private communications with Commonwealth leaders had revealed overwhelming support for the family's approach to handling their crisis. Several prime ministers had privately expressed that they found the royal family's adaptability reassuring, viewing it as evidence of the monarchy's continued relevance in rapidly changing times. The financial restructuring during this period had actually improved the efficiency of royal operations, with resources being directed more effectively toward high-impact activities. The temporary reduction in ceremonial events had allowed for increased investment in substantive programs that were producing measurable results for the communities they served. Palace staff had developed new protocols and procedures that would remain in place even after normal duties resumed, creating a more flexible and responsive system for managing royal obligations. The crisis had forced innovations that were improving the institution's ability to serve the public effectively while supporting family welfare. As autumn approached, the family faced the question of when and how to transition back to normal operations. The success of their temporary arrangement had exceeded all expectations, but they knew that public life would eventually need to resume. The challenge now was determining how to maintain the benefits they had gained while fulfilling their public obligations and preparing for King Charles's eventual return to full duties. The announcement of King Charles's complete recovery came on a crisp October morning, delivered with the same careful precision that had marked the family's communications throughout this extraordinary period. However, the royal family that emerged from this experience was fundamentally different from the one that had entered it, transformed by challenges that had ultimately strengthened their bonds and clarified their purpose. William and Catherine's return to public duties was marked by a new confidence and depth that was immediately apparent to those who knew them well. Their time away had allowed them to develop a more sophisticated understanding of their roles, moving beyond the ceremonial aspects of royal service to embrace a more substantive approach to leadership and advocacy. The new charter they had developed during their time at Balmoral was quietly being implemented, introducing innovations that made royal service more flexible and impactful. These changes were subtle enough to respect tradition, while being significant enough to improve effectiveness, representing a masterful balance between continuity and progress. King Charles's own approach to his duties had evolved during his recovery, informed by his family's insights and his own reflection on what truly mattered for the monarchy's future. His health scare had given him a new perspective on time and priorities, leading to a more focused and purposeful approach to his reign. The children had emerged from this period with a deeper understanding of both their privileges and their responsibilities, having witnessed firsthand how their family navigated challenges with grace and unity. Their education had been enriched by experiences that no traditional curriculum could have provided, preparing them for their future roles in ways that would prove invaluable. The extended royal family's increased prominence during this period had revealed the true strength and depth of the institution, demonstrating that the monarchy's future was secure not just because of individual personalities, but because of the collective commitment of all its members to service and duty. Public opinion had shifted significantly during these months, with polls showing increased respect and affection for the royal family. Their willingness to prioritize family during a crisis while finding creative ways to maintain their service commitments had resonated deeply with people facing their own challenges in an uncertain world. The international impact of their approach had been profound, with other royal families and even elected leaders studying their methods for balancing personal needs with public obligations. The British monarchy had positioned itself as a model for how traditional institutions could adapt to contemporary challenges without losing their essential character. Financial analysis revealed that the temporary restructuring had actually improved the cost-effectiveness of royal operations, with resources being directed more strategically toward high-impact activities. The monarchy was emerging from this period not just stronger in terms of family unity, but also more efficient in its use of public resources. The media's relationship with the royal family had also evolved, with correspondents developing a deeper appreciation for the complexities of royal life and the genuine challenges faced by those who chose to serve in public roles. Coverage had become more nuanced and respectful, focusing on substance rather than sensation. As the family resumed their full schedule of public engagements, they brought with them lessons that would inform their service for years to come. Their experience had proven that the monarchy could adapt to extraordinary circumstances while maintaining public trust and institutional integrity, providing a blueprint for future challenges. The story that had begun with shocking news about stepping back from royal duties had evolved into a narrative of renewal and strengthening. The royal family had demonstrated that true service sometimes required difficult choices, and that those choices, made with wisdom and courage, could ultimately benefit not just the individuals involved, but the institution they served. Looking toward the future, the monarchy stood on stronger foundations than ever before, having proven its ability to evolve while maintaining its essential character. The challenges they had faced together had not weakened the royal family, but had instead revealed reserves of strength, wisdom, and adaptability that would serve them well in whatever lay ahead. The shocking announcement that had once stunned the nation had ultimately become a story of triumph, demonstrating that even the most traditional institutions could find new ways to fulfill their purposes while honoring both their history and their obligations to future generations. The royal family's journey through crisis to renewal had become an inspiration, showing that with courage, wisdom, and family unity, any challenge could be transformed into an opportunity for growth and positive change.